Hey everyone, this is Jordan with Team J's Classroom Fun, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be kind of sharing a hodgepodge of some videos, and these videos will be sharing with you how I handle some of my routines and procedures in the classroom. So as you go through these, you'll notice they're kind of going to be taken more vertical and stuff. These are ones I've taken in my classroom from before, but this will go over some things like how I have kids line up and different things like that. So I hope these are helpful, especially as you're getting ready to go back to school and setting up those expectations in that first week. If you have any questions or comments, make sure you leave them down below, and or you could go to my Instagram page, Team J Classroom Fun. So enjoy watching the procedures. Classroom procedures, how I have students line up to go into the hallway. So hallway behavior is, I find it a big deal, and I really try to impress upon my kids that, you need to make good choices in the hallway. We're zero voice. There's other kids learning, things like that. So we spend a lot of time the first few weeks, and we even review as needed, like how to line up. One of the things that I do is I do have my students in alphabetical order by last name. I find this tends to work. Now, obviously, there are some students who should not be standing next to each other, so then, of course, I do make moves, but this way they kind of all have their spot. They have an assigned spot, so there's no questions. They know exactly where they're supposed to go. The other thing I have them do is they have three choices for their hands. They can either glue their hands to their sides, they can put their hands in their pocket, or they can put their hands behind their back. This helps alleviate them grabbing things and touching the walls and things like that. So those are two tips that I use to help with hallway management with them in the line.
So another thing I do to help with lining up is I have the kids do this chant. I did this more in first grade, but I've also done it in second grade before. So what happens is I say the first word and then the kids repeat me. So I, as the teacher, would say feet, and the kids then would say together and put their feet together. And then I say arms, and they say down, and they have to put them down, behind their back or in their pockets. And then I say face, and then they have to say forward and face forward. And then I say mouth, and they go I find this helps because it just kind of redirects them again of what needs to be happening. Of course, we need everyone facing forward in the hall, but the little chant helps. So I say feet, they say together and put their feet together. I say arms, they say down and put them down. I say face, they say forward because, sometimes we're talking to our neighbor. And then I say, my brain's blanking today. And then I say mouth and they say which is kind of a good reminder that they need zero voice in the hallway. So that's another thing I use to help with lines in the hall.
Classroom procedures, how to unpack. Okay, unpacking is a big deal. This is how you start your day. One of the things I highly recommend the first few weeks of school is making sure you unpack very slowly, like painfully slow. And what I often will even do is say the first thing is they need to take their folder out of their backpack. So I'll say, okay, everybody, take your folder out of your backpack and then put your hands on your head. Okay, they do that. Then I'll say, okay, put your folder in this bin and then come back and stand like the letter T. And then I'll say, okay, get your lunchbox out and stand in the letter X. And then I'll say the next thing. And we do this very slowly for the first few weeks, just so they can get the routine down. First few days, some kids need it longer. It depends on what grade you teach to. You might need to do it for the first few weeks. But then I'll show you a tip where I can do when they get a little bit faster. Unpacking, another thing that I do is I like to have a slide up on the board. This way it shows them the steps and the order that they need to unpack. And then this way too, they can almost kind of use it as a checklist, like, did I do everything I need to do? So what I tend to do for this is I have the slides up even the first few days of school when I'm slowly leading them through it. And then as the week goes on or weeks go on, depending on how your class is doing, I then just leave this up. And then this is kind of like their reminder of what they need to do. Let me show you. Okay, so for this has our how to unpack. For younger kids, you would also probably want to put some pictures by it of the different items as a way to help them. So they check their yellow folder, then they turn it in the black bin, they hand me lunch money, they take out their lunchbox. They put their lunchbox and backpack in the hall. The lunchbox goes in the wagon. The backpack's on the hook. They unstack their chair. They get their computer out, and they find a spot for morning meeting. So again, this way they have this to refer to if they need to help them with unpack. I have a slide the other day for how to unpack. I also have one for how to pack up that I'll go through with you. Same thing in the first few weeks of school or the first few days of school. We go really slow, and I really go over the steps painfully slow because the more you practice this, the better they'll get at it, and then it will go faster, and then it won't take any of your teaching time, and it won't hopefully take as much management either. So here's what the packing up looks like. So for packing up, they have to get their yellow folder, and I normally have homework helpers pass that out. Then they put their papers in it, whatever it may be, homework, papers, flyers for home, that kind of thing. Then they go into the hall, they bring their backpack and lunch in. I like them to do that so that they pack up at their table spot. If they're all packing up in the hall gets loud and it turns into a hot mess. Then they plug their computer in, stack their chair, and then come sit in their carpet spot for a story.